Hey, it's Eric here at Peachtree Classic Cars with my 1966 Mustang Convertible. We're going to take her for a quick drive and show you around the car. Turn signals light up. Oh, now they're not working. Okay. Well, that's why I do the video. So apparently it looks like it's probably just a bulb out. Looks like the turn signals need to be troubleshot, but they were working. Cold morning here in Georgia. V8 power steering, and the car just runs nice and straight down the road. Cruise-o-matic, automatic transmission. And it's so nice to have power steering. You know, on these little cars it's really not necessary, but it's nice. The brakes are manual. They stop straight. I'm not touching the steering wheel, and I am stopping. Like not a tiniest pull to the left or the right with these brakes. My wife loves driving this car, and that's the one thing I'd say the power steering helps with. Nice sounding engine. Sounds like a V8. Not overly aggressive. This is just a cruiser car. Oh, the light's on over there. Let's see what that's about. It must be the turn signal. Oh yeah, I had left it on. Okay, so probably one of the lights is out. Beautiful engine detail. You can hear that power steering pump going. I'm gonna turn the car off so we can hear a little better for the video. So the story on this car actually, and I have the original, it says here King Anniston. This is a King Ford of Anniston, Alabama, was where this car was bought brand new. That was the little thing that they put on there. The back window's not rolled up all the way. Put the little emblem there. They would drill 2 holes and put it right here, and it said King Anniston on there. This is the first time, according to the guy that I got the car from, the first time the car's even been out of the state of Alabama, except, I mean, owned out of the state of Alabama. Maybe they took it on vacation or drove it other places, but this is a 2-owner car. I got it from the second owner. He bought it from the original owner, and they bought it at the King Ford there in Anniston, and I purchased the vehicle in Anniston as well from the second owner, and he said as far as he knew, he had never left the state. So the next owner, unless you're in Alabama, will be the first person to have taken it out. So beautiful, beautiful engine detail in here. Fresh paint on the inner fender wells, a freshly painted engine. It runs awesome, drives awesome. Brassed radiator, which is my favorite. I just love these brass radiators. One thing I forgot to do, and I probably ought to do it when I get back to the shop, is, and you can ask me about it if you're buying it, is clear that. I usually spray a quick clear coat on it to make sure it doesn't turn, because it'll start to kind of turn like copper. But this has got a nice looking driver quality paint job. It's consistent from bumper to bumper. Very straight body. And just a beautiful shine. This is just a really good looking driver. Mustang wheels, 5 lug. And this Mustang was actually born a 6-cylinder. It had a conversion done to it. And that used to kind of scare me off a little bit, but it doesn't anymore in today's market. I mean, if you're looking for matching numbers cars, then, you know, of course this isn't one. But just looking for a good, affordable driver, these are starting to get to where they're hard to find. around the $25,000 range in really nice condition. So I've been dealing with Mustangs for a long time. They're one of my favorite cars, and this car, I just had a brand new top put on it. In fact, I haven't even let it down. The first time I'm letting it down is today to take the still photos of it being a convertible, and I've been questioning whether to do it or not. It's really cold out. I had it in the shop with the heater going. The main thing is I didn't want to crack that back window. If it's too cold with that plastic, we've cracked them before. With it being brand new, and I'm not as worried. When we get right up on the car, there's a couple of tiny little imperfections. There's one tiny little spot there I was trying to show. And actually a good wet sand and buff on this car would bring it up to another level. I believe that that could be done. You can see a couple of places where there may have been some touch-ups and some clear coat overspray. If you get really close up on the car and you know what you're looking for. But overall, there's really no major imperfections to point out as I look around. The bumpers are older. They're in what I would call good original condition, and so they polish up okay, but they're not brand new. The nice thing is, if you want to that's maybe the one thing I would think about doing if you wanted to up the car, is put some brand new bumpers on it. They're not very expensive. They're about $100 so each, and they bolt right on. It's something you can do in your garage real easy. 289 badging here on the front, and just nice and straight. Bottoms of doors, you know. We're gonna go looking, and every once in a while sometimes we'll find some, but as far as I know, this is a rust-free car. I don't remember seeing any rust on it when we bought it, except for a couple of tiny bubbles, which we cleaned out, welded, and touched up. It's a manual top, and when you open up the door, all the doors open nicely. Windows roll up and down. Now the back windows I was having a little bit of a problem with, and that's not uncommon. They may need the little plastic piece that goes in here. When I go to unroll it, it was not wanting to move it first and then catching. So I did not go to mess with it. A couple of little things too, like buying the weather strip kit and getting a brand new weather strip. This is just when it's old like this, they crack. So I mean, another thing, if you wanted to do, like I said, to bring the car up to the next level, might be ordering the I want to say it's maybe like $75, $80, and you get all the weather stripping, although I don't think all the weather stripping needs to be replaced. So maybe looking through and seeing if that's something you want to be particular about. Same here, this side, the window's got a little crack on the weather stripping there. Door panels are new. Seat covers are in like new condition. I don't believe they're brand new. I think they're actually older. And actually, the people that I got this car from, they own a wedding venue. That's what they do for a living. He's a school teacher, and then on the weekends they own a wedding venue, and so they use the car for weddings. And nice looking inside. Of course, just a typical thing. These old steering wheels they always cracked like this. This is the original steering wheel. It's never been reconditioned. So again, maybe something else. If you wanted a nickel and dime on it, I think that's the fun thing about this car, is you could nickel and dime on it a little bit and just have a really stunning car with, so kind of call this, this is not even in my mind a project car. This is what I call just a nice looking driver. But I was gonna say, you can project on it if you want, you know, a couple of little things here, a couple of little things there. Nice looking convertible boot. When the top goes down, the boot goes on. Really nice looking pad in here. Spare tire. I did not do a awesome job. All of a sudden this camera is not wanting to adjust. Come on. I have to wait for it to adjust. There we go. So inside the wells, no rust that I see. Maybe a spot there. I can't tell if that's from the factory or not, where that was a repair. That was a repair or that was from the factory. Couple of little tiny itty bitty little rust spots there, and that's not unusual for that. Tiny little holes there, pinholes, but nice and clean underneath the pad, well detailed out. Take a look underneath the car real quick. My camera's flashing at me, but the battery's wanting to die. So I did not detail or undercoat or try to hide anything. This is the car. These rockers are in great shape. Floor pans, subframe rails, all this. Now this is the kind of thing that sells me on the car. Usually when I walk up to a car like this, somebody calls me and says, hey, we're thinking about selling our Mustang or whatever, Chevelle, it doesn't matter, whatever we're buying. I usually walk up to the car and the first thing I do is lay down next to it and look underneath. I'm more concerned at first about what it looks like underneath than I am what it looks like on top, because if it's rusted out, I'm not even interested. It can be polished up top, but if it's rusted out, I don't want it. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't see any rust on the car. I would basically call this a rust-free car. Obviously we just found there's a couple of tiny little pinholes back there, but rockers on this side, you know, drain poles, all that. Same thing, original floor pans, original subframe rails, all in great shape. I'm trying to move the camera slow enough that you can really get a good view. So just a really solid car. It runs and drives straight down the road. This is, like I said, this is a car that my wife always wants to take out and drive, and we have our dealer plates so we can go throw a dealer plate on a car like this and take it out for a drive. So again, if I was going to keep this car, being picky like I have been with some other things, I might put it up on the lift and do a nice detail to the undercarriage. You know, maybe replace some bushings or something like that. I mean, it doesn't feel like it needs it when you're driving it, and those are typically things that you just do as you go along, you know, driving the car and kind of realize, okay, let's, you know, just do this next thing of maintenance. But at this very moment, I don't think that it really needs anything. Definitely doesn't need anything major. Looks like we might need to troubleshoot the turn signals. I know the windshield wipers are working. I know that and I put a brand new switch in it, and it still was like, if you go all the way to the left, it was wanting to kind of stay on and just kind of barely pull it back to the right, and they stop where they're at right now. And I've had that happen with other Mustangs before. I think that's just, you know, it's a 1966, it's an older car, and sometimes you just get those little fluky things that happen. So, but PeachtreeClassicCars.com, super sweet, fun. This is one of the most fun cars I think that I ever own is a Mustang Convertible, and especially first generation. A 64.5 through 66 have a special place in my heart. This is kind of where it all began with pony cars.